Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Happy Juneteenth to everyone who is celebrating and recognizing this very important day. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture episode 123. I really want to thank all of our loyal followers and viewers from around the world, and all of our new followers who are becoming loyal followers as well on Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, and Amazon Live, as well as Zizzle TV. Let's get started with the show. First, joining us, she's an international award-winning author. She loves to garden. She's fantastic with children. She's an amazing educator, and she has graced many stages across the world. It's the beautiful, the dynamic DIANN Floyd BOEHM. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. You're always so sweet.
Well, it's nice to see you. How are you doing? Let me see. Arm check. Any poison ivy?
No, now it's sugar bites.
Oh, no.
It's never a dull moment in a garden.
What is, so they can just get through the gloves or whatever you're wearing?
Yeah. I do dress appropriately. Socks, shoes, cover my arms, long gloves. But, it's just that time of year and it doesn't stop me.
Well, that says something about your passion. So thank you. And also your passion for the United Kingdom. I really appreciate you being here with us with this show. It's so important. So thank you, DIANN.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. I mean, I absolutely love it. Just like Simon says, I am so excited about Wednesday and everything our beautiful co-hosts bring to us, their wisdom from across the pond. Dr. Jacalyn, your platform, I know I'm talking too much, but I just really want to say to you, kudos for you, because this platform helps to bring peace. The more we can unite and understand people, the more we're able to become friends and realize that we're all brothers and sisters in this world together. So thank you.
That's so true. Thank you, DIANN. I appreciate it. Thank you for being with me from the very beginning. I do appreciate it. Well, as you just mentioned, Simon says our next person joining us, our dear friend, is joining us from Scotland, and he knows almost everything there is to know about fish and fisheries. He's also an incredible world-renowned chef, and he's an author as well. Thanks to you giving him some encouragement, let's welcome Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Hello, yeah, no, Wednesday, it comes around quicker and quicker. I was just thinking about poor Dan there, you have my sympathies about your bites and so on, but you haven't ever sampled the Highland midge. And the Scottish midge, it's about 1/10 of the size of a mosquito, but it's got 10 times the bite. And if you kill one, 100 turn up to the funeral. I mean, they just, in the evening, just now, it's quite difficult to go outside without getting savaged by these little things. I mean, you can hardly see them. I mean, they're barely the size of a pinhead, but oh boy, do they pack a punch.
Oh my gosh. I would not.
We'll have to have the two of you on our show, Coexistence and Sustainability, where we talk about animals all the time. Well, let's welcome our other beautiful panelists. These two are really the dynamic duo, and they're expert correspondents. They're experts in everything about the royal family, and in their own right, they have accomplished so much. And they are joining us together, HELENA and Mr. Ian Pelham Turner. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Good to see
Everyone's
you.
smiling away.
Yeah.
I've just come back from Sweden.
Oh, you
Sweden.
what a
How was
beautiful
your trip?
It was marvelous. I had time, but it was so good. And talking of midges, I was helping my sister as well in her garden because they've just moved, and it's absolutely beautiful. Here in the UK as well, we've got this deluge of like snails and slugs, but they weren't to be seen in Sweden, so we had a happy gardening time. But yeah, it was great. I think Princess Beatrice also was in Sweden at the same time, but she was at a conference for Mind. She does a lot of charity work. So yeah, so that was great. So good to see everybody, and we all fit on the screen.
It's good to see you all here. I also wanted to mention that Helena and Ian are the show hosts of the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, which was also on USA Global TV. Watch it Wednesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time, and also of Royal Breaking News, which has been a huge success. So thank you for your time for doing a third show. We appreciate it.
More than welcome.
Yeah.
All right. I know everybody's got time constraints today, so let's go right over to Helena with the Royal Roundup, and then Ian, if you can give your commentary, that would be great.
Okay, I think we're going to start with today. So Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, happy 25th wedding anniversary. They released a lovely portrait taken by photographer Chris Jelf, a beautiful picture where the Duke of Edinburgh is sort of holding Duchess of Edinburgh, and it's absolutely beautiful. They're wearing sort of natural colours. There we are, and it's absolutely beautiful shot, I think. They were married on the 19th of June 1999 in St George's Chapel, Windsor. This particular picture was taken at home in Surrey in their gardens. Very relaxed shot. I just feel the Duke of Edinburgh is really beginning to look like his late father. But they are such a wonderful couple. You know, really strong as a family. They get on incredibly well, and they're a real safe pair of hands as well for our royal family. They don't get as much coverage as the other main royals, but nevertheless are really strong parts of, I would say, a very, very close royal family. So yes, wishing them lots of love. And what do you think, Ian? Did you like the shot?
Thin. Is it me, or is it? You know, I mean, I don't know. I suppose as you get older, I should know. You know, your weight fluctuates up and down, but he looks quite thin at the moment. But you know, I mean, let's be honest. I watched him recently on his 60th birthday, and he did a live TV interview on his 60th birthday, and I think that's one of the best interviews that any royal family member has given for ages. And so all power to him. Sophie, I think, has really created quite a storm for the royal family as well, because she's been taking on a lot of duties that Kate would have done in the first place. And I think, you know, the reality with something like that is nowadays it just goes to show the strength and the breadth of the royal family when they're asked to sort of come on board. You know, we were talking a little while ago about, you know, some other royal members taking up the cudgels as well. And I think, as you sort of so rightly say, I mean, they are an amazing couple. They come across very well. And, they, you know, I hate to use this term, but this is the royal couple that come across as normal. So there you go, Helena. That's my thought on the picture.
Oh, lovely. I do think as well, the Duchess of Edinburgh, I think, is really quite beautiful. And I'm surprised because we sort of, on occasion, we do need glamour. It's always lovely to see the ladies wearing lovely clothes, etc. And I think she could be given a tad more airtime. And I remember when she was a lot younger, I mean, she had quite a look really of the late Princess of Wales, I thought, Princess Diana. And obviously she comes from a PR background, so she is incredibly eloquent. But again, we don't see her really on the news, do we, speaking for all of her charities, when she's just so passionate, and that she exudes love, and there's something very special about the both of them. So we're blessed. Anyway, moving on, I think this is going to be right up Ian's street, actually. So when Prince William met Harry, and this was quite recently. No, it's not Prince Harry. It is the captain of England, I think, is Harry Kane. I think that's right. Anyway, so they met recently. Now, as we know, Prince William absolutely adores football, along with his son, Prince George. He is the president of the Football Association. It's so lovely to be able to see him take Prince George to see lots of football games, and they genuinely are so passionate. They exude this wonderful, I know, it's like an aura, there's an energy. Anyway, so we're in the midst at the moment of the Euros 24. They met up for a bit of a pep talk, actually. I think it was Prince William speaking to Harry, and he'd spoken to his children, George and Louis, of course, Prince Louis, and said, what do you want? Do you have any little tidbits that you want me to pass on to Harry Kane? This is from the children. And of course, Louis, true to form, said that they had to eat healthily, all the football players, but they had to eat lots. And in fact, they had to then double the amount that they ate. So that was his little key bit, typical Prince Louis, so that they do well when they're away. But it was just lovely seeing them together. I wasn't actually there in person, but I've seen the clips and the pep talk, etc. And there's lots of laughter. And of course, I think England won to Serbia, I think the other day, 1-0. And if I'm right, they're playing Denmark tomorrow, if I'm right. I could be slightly wrong. I'm not a football fan, but what I do love is obviously when you see the football team playing so well. I think something else that Harry Kane did really, really well is that he actually gave each of the football players a brochure, and the brochure on it was reminding them of their love for football. So it wasn't all about money and the winning. It's remembering their passion when they were a lot younger, when they were training. So it was football, little photographs of them when they were much younger. And I think that's a lovely little touch to give the football players before they were going out, obviously, to the Euros. But yeah, really great. And Ian, what do you think about the Euros? I know that you're a fan.
Well, I almost missed the entrance today because I was watching the Albania match. And as it was live on television, and such an exciting match, I have to say. And at the very last minute, 93 minutes into the actual broadcast, Albania came level and drew the match. And so I should think the Albanians are going mad right now. I think that the biggest quote that I found quite amusing in some ways with William when he was with the England team was that his quote of "eat like a prince," and that's what he was sort of saying to them, that they've got to eat like princes, and it sounded like Marie Antoinette and let them eat cake. I don't know. It's one of those sort of strange things that somebody sort of says at times and probably didn't realise what he was saying. But I think it's been taken on board. Obviously, as we all probably know by now, England very much struggled, let's be honest, to win the match. They were very lucky to win the match. Unfortunately, Scotland at the moment got, absolutely hammered against Germany on the opening one as well. But again, it is Scotland, I believe, again tonight. So let's hope, let's talk up Scotland, no doubt. And Simon will probably want to do that with his kilt on and his rosette, chantering up the bit for Scotland. And so he should as well, because they are a great team as well. Anyway, back to you, Helena.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. I'm going to bring up a little bit. We can't not talk about trooping. Now, Trooping the Colour, which was on Saturday. Lots of people that came from abroad to see trooping. No one really knew who was going to be there, but everyone was hoping that the Princess of Wales would be there. And of course, there was a release made from Colonel Catherine, I like to call her. That's the Princess of Wales. We had an inkling that she would show up, and she did. And it absolutely made everybody's day. All the people that travelled from abroad, etc., to wait from the early hours, to be part of trooping, but just to the general public and broadcasters, photographers. I mean, everyone was so excited, and it was almost like that absence makes the heart grow fonder is just so true, isn't it? We had an honest, open, sort of vulnerable statement the night before that she put out, and talking about her cancer treatment and saying that she has good days and bad days, but she's not out of the woods. But obviously was really enthusiastic to join everyone on trooping. I just think it really humanised her, and people were just so pleased. It's very stoic, brave, courageous, all the things that you can imagine. And she also thanked the thousands and thousands of people who had contacted her, who wrote to her, who sent her cards. Sort of like she's a beacon of hope and strength for those fighting cancer too. So there's a lovely picture of the Princess of Wales actually on the balcony. She's there. She was there for her children. And so obviously because it was the birthday parade for King Charles, I mean, it was amazing to see them all. The strength, the unity of family, I think really above all was so prevalent, and lots of people that were there really felt it. Even when they were standing on the balcony, King Charles was right next to the Princess of Wales. They're incredibly close now. And they weren't sort of standing necessarily in their couples. So it was just like a little group. And I just love the fact that unity is incredibly special. Also, the glamour, as I mentioned before, it's so important to have, the wonderful clothing, the fashion. And the minute you see Princess of Wales, despite, her obviously having treatment and not feeling her best, it was like, wow. And to see her wearing that wonderful dress, it's a Jenny Packham dress, which actually has been had a little bit of work on it. Is it Eliza Doolittle, that kind of look? I think that's the sort of look she had. But Jenny Packham dress that she'd worn, I think, at coronation lunch. So again, that's another little tick in 23. And I think it's the bow that's changed on it. She's obviously the Colonel-in-Chief to the Irish Guards, and it was all about the Irish Guards flying their flag, full of fanfare, even though it poured with rain. But people were so excited, and I think again it's a chance as well for all the royal family and the army, etc., to thank each other. Really. So it was a fun time had by all. I could go on and on about it, but I'm not going to now. But we also have a good friend that took amazing photographs of the day that we look forward to sharing with you in due course. And there are lots and lots of stories. And another thing I want to say, we all know that the Princess Anne is so great. I mean, she did a sterling job, bless her. She was on horseback, but she had an absolutely temperamental horse. Really skittish, and for the whole time she had to calm the horse down. And she did sterling. She must have been exhausted at the end of it, because obviously with all the troops and the horses and the fanfare, it must have been hard to keep the horse under control. But she did great. And Ian Pelham-Turner, over to you.
Bless you. So I think we have our special guest on Friday on the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, which is Anfisa Polykevich, a Ukrainian-born brilliant royal photographer. She managed to get some great photographs of the balcony shots and of Kate as well, and in the carriage at the same time. And she's such a clever photographer, and she's such a beautiful person and brilliant person at the same time. So hopefully she's going to come on as our special guest on Friday, talking about what it's like to be a royal photographer, talking about how she managed to get into a place that normally she may not have been allowed to get into as well, to actually get these great exclusive photographs. And she is a treasure. She's a treasure to our own show, Ronnie Rich Lifestyle Show, and she's a treasure to Britain and a treasure to Ukraine at the same time. So we're really looking forward to showing some of her photographs off. Hopefully she will come in to actually talk about the special photographs that she takes. And she's just a very, very special, lovely person. So look out for our Ronnie Rich Lifestyle Show on Friday and Fisa Polikevich. You know, it took me about 2 years to learn how to pronounce her name properly. And she is smashing. She is great.
Yeah, we look forward to that. And again, just as a roundup, it's so amazing trooping and Princess of Wales showing up. I think it's really given our royal family a boost. So yes, we're really pleased. I would like to talk about it's the Father's Day photograph, and I know that we've been speaking about this intimate shot that was taken by the Princess of Wales at their family home in Norfolk. And it's a picture of William and the children sort of looking out at the beautiful Norfolk coast. It's shot from behind. So the reason why it's intimate is that it's obviously not the usual smiling to camera and showing off. It's showing them at play and special time together, which I think is really quite beautiful. So it's not ostentatious. It shows how, again, unity, I think, is coming into my talking today. It shows how close they are, the unity of their family. And it's a special time. And the Princess of Wales launched that. It's on social media. But the fun thing about it as well, the statement, "We love you, Papa. Happy Father's Day, G, C and L," and that's George, Charlotte and Louis, and that's their first post on their own social media account, which is out, which I think is on X. So I think it's great to show that. I find it a very heartwarming picture, but I know that you feel a little bit different, don't you, to Ian?
Quite honestly, just a strange picture actually. Okay, yeah, I get it's emotive, and I never criticize other photographers and their emotions and what the royal family want to do as well. According to some body experts, language experts, it was just to sort of show really them all together rather than being ostentatious about taking a Father's Day photograph. So I understand that. It just reminded me of, I don't know why, with them all looking out to sea, it just reminded me of really a painting, like a 19th century, 18th century painting of some sort. So it was different. I give you that. I'm not sure, many years ago when I was taking royal photographs that it would have been valued in any way by newspapers in those days, but trends change. And, I presume in reality that it is what it is. And at least that they sent a photograph out, which is always good. And it was a great reminder that all the fathers in the royal family have really shown responsibility, courage and commitment to the throne and to Great Britain as well.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it. I think there is so much news, but I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop there, and I hope, unless Ian, you may have something else that you want to share. I don't know. I mean, there is so much news at the moment, and I think the good thing is, we've got Ascot, and it's a real time at the moment for the royal family. There's lots of events, lots going on, and so we've got so much more to report. But I think just as a very small royal roundup today, that's my give, and I'll be back next week with more fun and games.
Yeah, and I think from my end, I think the reality last weekend, it showed unity at last. I wished Harry and Meghan had been there as well, to have been allowed to sort of participate in things like this. I know the couple in America were, I think, quite concerned that they are not being invited to these things anymore. And I think, especially with a military role as well, Harry would have been looking at this scenario of Troop in the Colour, perhaps with some envy as well nowadays at the same time. So let us, hopefully our final thought is, let's get a united royal family. Let's bring them back together. Let's find ways of bringing them back together rather than tearing them apart. That's my thoughts.
Yes, I have different thoughts. But I get it. We always have a different sort of thought of it all. I think, I think Prince Harry and Meghan has to come into this as, Prince Harry won't do anything without Meghan's blessing. And I do feel, yes, they do have time, and that if they want to make things up with the royal family, I think it is their duty to do so if that's what they wish to do. I do hope that if they are going to be getting a property in the UK, which we've been led to believe, that this is a good sign, and that will mean more communication and maybe being able to work through the trauma and upset that's occurred, everybody, and then hopefully then there'll be a positive way forward. So yes, I really, really hope that that's the case. But even so, Harry and Meghan are happy where they are, and I do see a stronger, united royal family too. And obviously what we do see are the cousins that are stepping up whenever needed. So people are jumping, whether it's Beatrice Eugenie or Zara Phillips, Peter Phillips. People are really, really jumping in. So yes, I feel all is well, and we obviously wish the King and the Princess of Wales obviously good health to really get back to full health. And then all of us be raring to go.
Absolutely. And seeing Simon here as well today, I'm just wondering whether he's got a couple of very large drams ready, to watch the Scotland match tonight, because I swear to goodness, I felt so sorry for Scotland the other day. Being half Scottish myself, and I worked with the Scottish squads when I worked in Glasgow as well. So, I know how hard they try and how patriotic they try as well. And I think they've got the most brilliant TV host in Ali McCoist, who I find absolutely hilarious all the time. And he actually brings his own brand of humour into all the matches as well. So really, yeah. Simon, what do you think? Have you got your dram ready?
It's always ready. I remember my old school motto was "Ready, I ready," and so I've lived by that ever since. But I remember Ali McCoist and Fred Macaulay. They used to have a radio show. I was on their show several times, and I mean it was hilarious. It really was. I mean the two of them are a great double act, and they've both got the most incredible sense of humour. But Ali McCoist, he does it. I mean, he's just perpetually smiling. Everything he does, everything he sees, every situation, he'll always see the funny side of it. He's a real, ray of sunshine, if you like, even on the wettest and dullest of days, which it's not today. It's lovely out there. It's nice, sunny and warm. But yes, we shall see what happens tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting outcome.
I hope it works. I have this memory. I have this very drunken memory, unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be. Most of the Scottish squad in the days when I was working in Glasgow were playing for Liverpool. So I was asked to go down to photograph Kenny Dalglish and really the most of the Scottish team. And we all decided the night before to go out to this Chinese restaurant. And we ended up drinking brandy and sake chasers as well. And I remember staggering up back to my hotel. It's the only time I think I've ever felt really drunk in my life. And I woke up with this terrible hangover the following morning. And of course, all the players had to be on the training pitch for 9 o'clock in the morning. And we all had white faces. The whole part of the Scottish squad, I swear to goodness, how they got through that training session, I'll never know. But there you go. That's one of my memories of the Scottish team.
Indeed, I think that would almost be incitement to permanent brain damage, a session like that. I mean, the combination brandy and sake, oh dear. But there we go. No, my connection in the football world is my father was a director of Glasgow Rangers, and so he lived, breathed, and ate football all the time. So, you know, I have sort of fond memories of being taken up to the matches and sitting in the director's box with them and watching the procedures, in particular of the Old Firm matches of Rangers and Celtic.
I remember them well. And the very first Old Firm match I ever photographed, as I was going down the tunnel at half time, this blue balloon came over into the tunnel, and I sort of batted it away. And it ended up in the Celtic section of the crowd and started a riot.
I should think so. It would have been shot down very quickly.
and this superintendent came running over to me and said, "What did you do that for?" So I have many fond memories of Scotland, especially.
Yes. Oh, well. Well, the weather here today is stunning. The tourists are out. The midges are out. It's all swell with the world. We got the midges in the early morning and then in dusk in the evening as well. Oh, wow. Have they got their teeth sharpened up this year?
But I would imagine most of Scotland is in Germany, isn't it? You know,
There's quite a lot of them, yes.
You know, I think Scotland has moved to Germany this week for the Euros. I've never seen so many Scots in all my life. You know, and from what I hear as well, in Edinburgh, they ran out of kilts.
Yes.
The very famous kilt centre. They ran out of kilts in Edinburgh for the Scottish fans to get over there as well. So I love Scottish people, obviously, as you know, and I think the team spirits that they have as well. It's just great fun, and I really, really hope tonight they can actually win the match and so save themselves and get into the quarterfinals. It'll be great.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
We'll be watching. It was nice to see the two of you gents having a chat. I didn't want to interrupt, but I know Simon has a presentation to give. So
And I never even brought up smoked salmon once.
Over to you, Simon.
Well, anyway, here we are. So it's harking back to the photograph of the Princess of Wales there. Gosh, she's just looking absolutely stunning, and it's so nice to see her out. Anyway, this week, last week we talked about the role that the town of Inverary played in the Second World War, leading up to the Normandy landings. I mean, 250,000 servicemen in a town of 564 people took quite a bit of doing. So this week, still on the same theme, but moving a little bit further north up the west coast as well, an area which I'm very, very fond of, an area I lived in for about 35 years, and that's the area around the west of Lochaber. And if you got a map of Scotland and go up the west coast to about exactly the halfway point, then you are pretty much in the area. So today I'm talking about the covert side of World War II and Special Operations Executive, or SOE it was known, which was based in that very area where I lived. I'll hasten to add, not at the same time. So this is really about the art of ungentlemanly warfare. And Arisaig House, as you see in the photograph there, it lies about 2 miles southeast of the village of Arisaig in Lochaber. And it's located on the road to the Isles, which is a historic route which connects the town of Fort William to the port of Mallig in the beautiful West Highlands of Scotland. By its location, the area of West Lochaber is relatively isolated and lightly populated, and I can verify that because it would cost me, it would cost me 10 litres of petrol to go and buy 5 litres of petrol. So it's a long way from the nearest bank, supermarket or petrol station. And during World War II, Arisaig House, along with 8 other large houses and hunting lodges in the area, were requisitioned for use by the Special Operations Executive, or SOE, and became a no-go area. The SOE established its first training base at Inverary Castle, which is, or Inverary House as it's sometimes referred to, which is in the photograph just now. and then later transferred its headquarters to Arisaig House itself. And Inverary became a commando training school in the art of ungentlemanly warfare. Arisaig House became an SOE special training school designated as STS-21. It functioned as a finishing school and specialised in commando skills, providing the final stage of training for agents destined to serve in the field. Many other local buildings were requisitioned for use by SOE to accommodate and train the men and women preparing to serve as undercover agents. The area around Arisaig was critical to the preliminary training of some 3,000 special agents, and with only one access road, it was actually easy to seal off as a special protected area and keep it secure from unwanted attention. And although it had the advantage of remoteness and distance to keep prying eyes away, it was also convenient for legitimate visitors to reach, as it was served by a railway line. So security was rigorously maintained, and even the locals there were required to have special passes for movement into and out of the protected area. So from May 1940, the War Office started the process of requisitioning properties in the Scottish Highlands for unspecified military purposes, one of which was Inverary House, which was the home of the Cameron Head family. And I remember old Mrs. Cameron Head very, very well. Very eccentric character, a wonderful, wonderful lady. So, situated close to the shores of Loch Eilert and on the foothills of Shuncruach and Unstack, Inverary House had been identified as the ideal location for an irregular warfare school. So, under the stewardship of military intelligence or research, Brian Mayfield and Bill Sterling, who was the elder brother of David Sterling, who formed the Special Air Services, or SAS, which is the British Army's elite Special Forces regiment, and had been appointed as commanding officer and chief instructor, respectively, of what had been designated as the Special Training Centre, or STC, Loch Eilert. Mayfield and Sterling's first jobs were to recruit instructors suitably qualified in the teaching of the black arts associated with guerrilla warfare. Shimmy Lovett, the Lord Lovett, who was my godfather, who was Sterling's cousin, was an obvious choice. Recently departed from his father's old regiment, the Lovett Scouts, he was looking to utilise his skills as a sniper and a stalker and expert of fieldcraft in rugged and inhospitable terrains. A wide array of instructors had been recruited and were soon passing on the benefits of their experience, either military or otherwise, including Jim Gavin of the Royal Engineers, who was a Himalayan climber, and he was part of the 8-man climbing team on the Everest expedition of 1936. Other adventurers included no less than 5 holders of the prestigious Polar Medal: Jimmy Scott, who, along with fellow recipient Freddie Spencer Chapman, were members of Gino Watkins' British Arctic air route expedition to Greenland in 1930 and 31. Then there was Martin Lindsay, who had been on the Greenland expedition and on the British Trans-Greenland expedition of 1934, with fellow instructor and Polar Medal holder Andrew Croft. The 5th holder of the medal, and perhaps the most distinguished, was Surgeon Commander Murray Levick, who had been on the ill-fated Terra Nova expedition to the South Pole with Captain Scott in 1910-13. The list of other instructors reporting to the STC Loch Eilert reads like a who's who of adventurers and mavericks, interlaced with explosives experts, weapons instructors, survival specialists, and burglars. Well, Sir Tommy McPherson, who attended the first commando course, recalled in his words, "There was a remarkable collection of instructors there. There was a fellow called Mackworth Preed, an ex-guardsman, who was a weaponry instructor, and he had to be the finest shot I've ever seen. With a .303 standard bolt-action rifle, he could get 3 magazines off in a minute, and they'd all be in one or beside the bullseye at 300 yards. He was a remarkable chap. He used his 3rd finger on the trigger and flipped the bolt, which had very easy action, with his 2nd finger after each shot, and the speed was astonishing. We had a very good explosive chap and a gentleman on release from Peterhead Jail, who was an expert safe man, and a very nice chap he was too." Then we go on. The famous actor David Niven was trained in explosives at Inverary House, becoming an extremely adept at blowing up trains and other targets. And as well as having a starring role in the movie The Guns of Navarone, David was also the technical explosives advisor to the movie. He was heard to say, "Well, at least something I learned in my army training came into useful in peacetime." The inaccessibility of the location and harshness of the environment made it a perfect training area for the fledgling commando officers, many of whom had only spent a few weeks with their men before being sent on to the Highlands. Survival and fieldcraft training were the remit of Lord Lovat and his fieldcraft team, who used local gillies and non-commissioned officers from the Lovat Scouts to assist with instruction and demonstrations. Lessons and exercises were carried out in the rugged terrain around Loch Eilert, and believe me, it is rugged there as well. I mean, the hills are just vertical. Now, these hills were home ground to myself for many years, and I know just how difficult and unforgiving they can be, with the weather changing from good to horrendous in seconds. And I've been caught out in them before, and it gets really bad there. So hours were spent learning how to patrol using the ground and natural features to their advantage, while being taught the principles of camouflage and concealment. Stalking was taught day and night, and they were taught how to kill, skin, gut, and cook deer, sheep, and rabbits. They were encouraged to use boats in the sea loch to supplement their rations with fresh mackerel and sea trout. Live firing was commonplace. Mad Mike Calvert from the Royal Engineers assisted Jim Galvin with the fundamentals of explosive devices, booby traps, and all the associated components required for demolition and sabotage. It's not unusual, even to this day, to come across a few rounds of live ammunition partly hidden amongst the rocks and boulders on the mountainsides. It was just, the noise on those hills must have been something else in those days. So, as with all commando training, physical fitness was one of the key components. The mountainous terrain and inclement weather turned a standard route march into a real feat of endurance. John Murray of No. 2 Commando recalls the experience, and in his words, he said, "We underwent some pretty hair-raising and tough training in or around Loch Eilert. I remember marching from Fort William to Loch Eilert on an unmade road. It was no joke, despite the fact that we were all reasonably fit. I also remember being in the tender care of Captains Fairbairn and Sykes for unarmed combat." Well, I should mention here that the march from Fort William to Loch Eilert, it's about 35 miles in distance. And just imagine doing that in all weathers, carrying about 50 pounds of kit on your back and another 8.5-pound rifle as well. It's quite a feat, it really is. And with both feet, there'd be a lot of blisters. If assault courses and physical training exercises were the norm, the Fairbairn and Sykes brand of PT wasn't. They taught them to fight with knives, sticks, shovels, toshes, tin hats, anything they could get their hands on. How to smash eardrums, rip mouths, split cheeks, and gouge eyes, and for good measure, how to break necks as well, dislocate shoulders and crush sternums. It was tough stuff. Training designed to teach them how to kill a man with their bare hands, and how, in Fairbairn's words, were to get tough. At the end of the war, there was a meeting with Winston Churchill and General Eisenhower, along with a senior British intelligence officer, in the drawing room of Inverary House. Now, this meeting was a top-secret discussion which actually set the groundwork on the forming of America's Central Intelligence Agency. The CIA was born there. Sadly, Inverary House today, it's in a state of decay, and it's almost beyond repair. I saw it just recently, and it's so sad looking at it now. Until 2014, one of the rooms in the house actually served as the local post office to Loch Eilert. I have many fond memories from my frequent visits to Inverary House, or Castle, as it was also known. In the hallway, old magazines and newspapers were piled up on a large table, and they were left as they were in 1945 by the military occupants. Officers' names are still to this day inscribed in gold leaf on several of the doors on the first floor. A clear-out in 1995 uncovered numerous boxes and army kit bags under the tables, some of which contained radio equipment and other military paraphernalia. And there was one box of live Mills 36 hand grenades discovered behind a couch in one of the other rooms. An incredible time warp of military history dating back to the war years. And I've even enjoyed the nostalgia of a number of true traditional Highland balls there, with everyone in their finery and dancing to reels and jigs accompanied by local pipers. Much whisky was enjoyed, and it would go on all night and even into the next day. Arisaig House, the former SOE headquarters, was until 2020 Aurelian Chateau 5-star country house hotel, where I have enjoyed many a meal of superb quality food. It's now reverted to a grand private country house with an incredible history, and not without a certain amount of mystery.
Wow, thank you. That was really interesting. Let's bring Ian back. Hi, Ian.
Hi.
I just want to mention there were a couple of photographs. I didn't know where to show them. So can you tell us about this?
That's David Niven in training at Loch Island. And I'm not sure who the other officer is, but certainly it's David Niven there on the left. So it's quite a character, a great actor. And this was some of the commando training. They didn't mess about there. They used live shells and live ammunition. They'd lob the odd grenade in the water just to create a bit of excitement to the guys going across on 2 flimsy bits of rope. So, keep them on their toes or keep them alert.
Literally.
Right, literally, yes. And this was practicing landings again under live fire. So it was as tough a training as you could get. But then, when they're training these special agents to go into into the field, in the likes of Paris or France, working with the French resistance, they've got to be tough. They've got to know how to handle themselves in any situation. The railway line was actually quite interesting, going from Fort William to Malek. And once they got to around about the Loch Island area, the train usually slowed down. And there had been probably some dummy explosive placed in the line. And big bang, this is training how to derail trains in France or in Germany. Obviously, they didn't use enough explosive to actually knock the Fort William to Malek train off the line. But it was heard one time there was a particular local character of an engine driver as well who leaned out of the engine after there'd been a particularly loud explosion, and he put his thumbs up and he said, "Bob, that's a good one this time." So even the train drivers had to be pretty tough then as well. So quite an area.
And go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I try not to think about the SAS. Every time I ever worked with the SAS, and I worked on a few occasions with them, obviously with their knowledge as well. And before anybody thinks, right, no, I'm not a member of the SAS. I just happen to be asked to sort of work with them. And on one occasion, if you remember the very famous Iranian siege in London many years ago now in the 1970s, then Jacalyn would be too young to have you'd have been a child, Jacalyn, at that time. You might have not even been thought about at that time. It goes back a long time, the Iranian siege. But just after that, I was asked to sort of work with the army, because the army were going to do a parascend jump. And so they were going to jump out over the cliffs of Dover, and they would parascend across the channel to France. And basically our role, several photographers, our role was to get on the midnight ferry. And because I was closest to the port for the ferry, every 3 or 4 nights, I'd get this call about 11:30, get on the ferry, and we would go across in these terrible conditions, sat in the bowels of this boat, being tossed up and down, backwards and forwards, and I must admit a few drams were drunk at that as well, just for medicinal purposes and trying to keep warm. And this must have been about 5 times. But after a while, he was a colonel in the army. And after about 6 weeks of going backwards and forwards, and we started talking to him, and he obviously started trusting us by then. He said, gentleman, he said that my role is to make sure that when these parachutists parascend across the channel, there are going to be 3 parachutists who are going to be masked. And he said, I can tell you something now. He said, I was the colonel who led the SAS going into the Iranian siege. And my role is to make sure that you don't photograph any of these three guys in masks, when they arrived. And I thought, just get it done. I mean, by this time, we were almost striking a tie, all these photographers, because we were sick of going backwards and forwards over to France, back in again. And eventually it happened. Thank goodness it happened at that time. So that's just one of my memories of the SAS.
There weren't enough drams for you, right? And for people who don't know, a dram is like a shot glass.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, a dram is a whiskey, a glass of whiskey. It doesn't matter the size, bigger the better.
Oh, it could be a big glass.
There's a wee dram and there's a dram. They're much the same size, really. Anyway, on this day, by changing the subject, partly,
All right.
on this day in 1829, Robert Peel introduces the Metropolitan Police Act of 1829 into Parliament to establish a unified police force in London, the city's first modern police force. In 1865, Union General Gordon Granger declares slaves are free in Texas. Now, the date to the end of slavery is celebrated across the US, of course, as the Juneteenth, as Dr. Jacalyn proudly announced at the beginning of the show. Happy Juneteenth. So there we are. Just as well had researched that one beforehand. So in 1900, Republican Party nominates President William McKinley for re-election, but chooses a new candidate for Vice President, Theodore Roosevelt. Birthdays today, on this day, well, not actually today, but on this day, in 1566, King James the Sixth of Scotland and James the First of England and Ireland, he was born in Edinburgh Castle, son of Mary Queen of Scots. 1947, the British Indian novelist, famous for the Satanic Verses, was born in Mumbai, and that was, come on Ian, tell me.
You've got me there. I've got. I know the face. I can't remember the name. Sorry.
Salman Rushdie.
Oh, Salman Rushdie. Yeah,
yes.
You're not going to advance to the next round, unfortunately, Ian. But go ahead.
1964, British Conservative former Prime Minister, oh dear, Boris Johnson, was born in New York City. So he is 59 today. So there we go. That's why Boris is away off on another holiday, his second summer holiday today. In deaths, we've got in 1867, Maximilian I, the Austrian Archduke and first and only monarch of the Second Mexican Empire. He was executed by a firing squad in Quincharo, aged 34. Then in 1995, Group Captain Peter Townsend, British Royal Air Force officer and war hero and courtier who had a romance with Princess Margaret, died at the age of 80. So there we have this on this day.
Thank you, Simon. Ian, would you like to add anything on this day?
I think on this day today, I must admit, sorry, I'm a soccer fan. So on this day today, the biggest event in Britain today, I have to say, not the Royals, it's Scotland playing tonight in Germany, and the reality is, let's hope tonight, because the other day they were marmalised. In reality, they lost 5-0 to Germany in the opening one. So on this day today, my biggest thought for the whole of this nation, let's support Scotland, because when you look at the Scottish supporters as well, the reality with the Scottish supporters, they are some of the best supporters in the world. And I always remember when I used to be a photographer many years ago now, that when there was an England and Scotland football match in London, they were all come to Trafalgar Square, and you couldn't see Trafalgar Square in those days for kilts, sporrans and bonnets. And quite a few drams being drunk at the same time, much to the chagrin of what became the modern day version of Sir Robert Peel, the Peelers, the Metropolitan Police. Mind you, I've got a feeling that I used to watch at times, perhaps the odd constable would have a little swig offered from a bottle as well. So I think there was merriment going on. So it's Scotland's day today. Hopefully, I hope they win tonight.
Well, I hope we're going to be reporting that as an event and not as a death.
Where can one watch this?
Yeah. But anyway, I noticed in Germany they were saying the storm conditions and they closed off the fans area and so on, and you'd see a Scotsman looking out there saying, just a little shower, what's the problem? We're used to it in Scotland. So, but they're playing Switzerland, so they're used to tough weather as well. So we'll see. But there won't be any snow, so we're all right.
Thank you. So I just asked if people want to watch. Do you know what network or where they can watch it?
It's really it's a European event, so I don't know whether you've asked me a question I actually don't know the answer to, because I would imagine that some probably NBC might cover it in some way. I don't know, but unfortunately, because of the cost these days of actually the amount of money that networks have to spend to actually get some television rights to this, it is highly expensive. So whether I know Americans love soccer now, which is great, but I don't know whether it can be seen or not. And that I don't know. Simon, do you know? Is there a
Absolutely no idea at all. That's good. That's a good question. You've got us both stumped this time.
I stumped both of you. I can't believe it. Well, I guess people can do some kind of Google search and they can find out where they can watch if they want to.
We can tell you any channel in the UK and most of the ones in Europe will be shown, but no, not on your side of the pond, I'm afraid. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, that concludes episode 123 for today. And Anne Scotland show is coming up next, followed by the Royally Rich Lifestyle show and our reunion show. So do stay tuned. Simon, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
Well, just very quickly, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain.
Good one. Especially there in the UK, you get a lot of rain, right?
Yeah, but not today. We've got just fantastic weather today, and I've actually had to water the garden for the last three or 4 days. I mean, it's amazing.
Ian, what would you like to share?
I would just like to share. Do you know, it's a most amazing time in all our lives at the moment. So many things are happening. As you probably know, I cover politics as well, and so. Whenever I'm not talking about the royals, I'm full on to politics at the same time. So as much as I enjoy politics, please, 4th of July, American Independence Day becomes Britain's Independence Day, because we don't know who's going to get voted in the next general election. So July the 5th will be our Independence Day. So let us hope we choose a government that allows us to have much more contact with America again. And whichever party gets into power on November the 5th, which is our Guy Fawkes night, which is our bonfire night, when we let off fireworks in London, hopefully there's going to be fireworks, but interest in America as well. That's my thought for the day.
Yes.
Well, that's a good one. Obviously, we have an election year here in the States as well. So get out and vote. Get out and vote. So. Yeah. All right, we're going to close out for now. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week for episode 124. And please do continue watching our channel. Subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. Download our app on Roku Worldwide and Amazon Fire. We'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I found I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations. this is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It's just, it will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.